A relationship that is not exactly on terra firma, but let's go back to a time when it was going well. Exceptionally well. Sidekick might be deemed to some as insulting, but next to his flightness, being Scottie Pippen is a career worth having. So join me as we see the view from the faraway perspective of the second star in the basketball experiment. Scottie Pippen was selected 5th overall by the Seattle Supersonics in the 1987 draft. A draft day trade would send Pippen to the Chicago Bulls. The rookie would come off the bench as a role player, playing 20 minutes a game. The Bulls would record their first winning season since 1981. Pippen would see his minutes increase in the playoffs, which ended in a semifinals loss. Early through the 1989 season, Pippen officially joined the starting lineup. He showed off his defensive prowess, but still had a long way to go on the offensive end. The Bulls would make a conference finals run in the playoffs, while Pippen played well, looking like a legitimate starter. They would return to the conference finals in 1990. In the Game 7 loss to the Pistons, Pippen's play was severely hampered by a migraine, obscuring his stellar play in the postseason, comfortably playing at an all-star level. The Bulls were rolling in 1991 with 61 wins, and Pippen was rolling too, playing at an All-NBA level despite not even being named an All-Star. The dynasty would begin with the first title, and with a lot of long postseason runs to choose from, perhaps the first was the best Pippen ever looked. And we will take a look at the 1991 championship run for Scottie Pippen. First with the basic stats: 21.6 points per game, 8.9 rebounds, 5.8 assists, and a playoff career high, pretty astounding number, 3.6 stocks. An astounding defensive performance from Scottie Pippen, and also a playoff career high, shooting 50% from the field, so at his most efficient in his postseason career. The advanced stats: PER at 22, total win shares at 2.9, win shares per 48 at 0.197, and the BPM at 6.5. I would like to point out his astounding defensive performance did end up to him leading the postseason in defensive win shares at 1.7. Now, definitely this entire run, he is pretty comfortably at that All-NBA first-team level. A step up from where he was in the regular season. Just an incredibly impressive performance from Scottie Pippen. Pippen would have the best season of his career so far for the unstoppable Bulls in 1992, receiving his first career MVP vote. The postseason ended, and the Bulls were champions again. 1993 was not as strong as his previous two seasons. He would make the All-NBA third team, but played more at an all-star level. Another win in the finals for the Bulls, cementing their first three-peat. Pippen's numbers in the three finals combined were 21 points per game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2.8 stocks. In the fall of 1993, the air would leave the room, or rather, the entire city of Chicago. But Pippen was up for the challenge. The Bulls held strong, winning 55 games. And Pippen indeed would meet the challenge, having his greatest season. And we will take a look at the 1994 regular season, the season where Pippen stood alone. First with the basic stats, 22 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, which are both career highs, 5.6 assists, and 3.7 stocks, while shooting 49% from the field. The advanced stats, PER of 23.2, which would be a career high, total win shares 11.2, win shares per 48.194, the BPM, a career high of 7.7, and the VORP at 6.8. Now we have a nice agreement between me and the NBA voting block. He's definitely at an All-NBA first team level, which of course he made in real life. He finished the highest he would ever finish in the MVP voting at 3, which I think I might disagree a little bit and say maybe he should have been a couple spots down in the 5 to 6 area. I don't think he's quite at an MVP level. It's definitely a very impressive season for Pippen without the other guy being there. He definitely showed that on his own, he could still play at that All-NBA first-team level, which he had done prior to this year and would do after. The numbers he would put up in this season are just a little bit better than his previous All-NBA first-team level seasons, which is why I feel that this is the best regular season of his career. In the playoffs, battling the Knicks in the semis, the Bulls won Game 3 at the buzzer to get into the series. But it did include not Pippen's greatest moment. In Game 5, with the series tied 2-2, another controversial moment would happen for Pippen and the Bulls. And the Knicks would hold on for the 3-2 series lead. Pippen struggled shooting in Game 6 at just 31%, but he still provided 11 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 stocks, and had a signature moment as the Bulls beat the Knicks to force a Game 7. Shooting struggles abound for both teams. Pippen at 36%, but he would haul down 16 rebounds. But the Bulls' crown was lifted, losing the game, and the championship reign was over. Pippen was still his All-NBA self in 1995. The Bulls were good, but had lost contender status. When suddenly, with 17 games left in the season, the air would be pumped back into the franchise. But alas, even he who walks among the clouds can't fix everything that fast. The Bulls would lose in the semis. Rejuvenation, revenge, and the will to reclaim the crown would motivate the Bulls in 1996, putting up the finest season in NBA history at the time, winning 72 games. The 30-year-old Pippen, still at his All-NBA first-team level, finished 5th in MVP voting. When the playoffs ended, the Bulls were back on top with the crown. The 5th title would follow in 1997. Injuries and disagreements with the Bulls management in 1998 led Pippen to only play 44 games, but the same result at the end of the postseason. The Bulls were holding the trophy. The band broke up, disbanded, and moved on before the lockout season began. Pippen was traded to the Houston Rockets. Now, an aging star, he would team up with 2 other aging stars. They had a nice season, finishing 31-19. but lost in round one. Pippen, wanting to move on, would be traded in the offseason, joining the Portland Trail Blazers, who were coming off a conference finals run. Pippen would be a steady veteran hand for the Blazers, playing at a high-value starter level. It would be a great season for the Blazers, winning 59 games and making a return to the conference finals. They fell down 3-1 in the series, but battled back, forcing a Game 7. But a brutal fourth quarter led to a devastating outcome, losing the game and the series. Over the next 3 seasons, Pippen played at a starter level. The Blazers remained a good team, but failed to get out of round one. In the summer of 2003, Pippen would sign and rejoin the Bulls, a fitting coda for his career. However, the season would be marred by injuries and a lackluster team. Pippen only played 23 games and never played in the NBA again. But the end is not remembered. What is that he was the second best player on a dynasty. And now we will take a look back at the prime of Scottie Pippen, encompassing the dynasty years, 91 through 98 seasons. First with the basic stats: on the dot, 20 points per game, 7.3 rebounds, 6 assists, 3.1 stocks, on 48% shooting. Advanced stats: PER of 21.2, average win shares per season 10.9, win shares per 48.185, and the BPM at 6. Very comfortably at that All-NBA level for the entirety of his prime, except with the one exclusion being the 93 season. I'm not sure he's quite at that level. He did make the third team in reality. But I will also say I feel there's a case to be made to make the All-NBA first team in 92 and in 97. He made the second team both those years. But he definitely has got a case, but making the second team, that's not that much of a snub. Now we'll move on to the playoffs and compare them back to the regular season. The points per game virtually the same at 19.2. Same goes for the rebounds, assists, and stocks. A little bit of a drop in shooting percentage, dropping from 48 down to 44 in the playoffs. The advanced stats, the PER, just a slight drop from 21.2 to 19.5, and a little bit of a drop in the win shares per 48 from 0.185 to 0.157, but the BPM ends up staying pretty close, from 6 to 5.6. So there is just a little bit of a drop in the postseason. I'd say for the entirety of his prime, at the very comfortable all-star level. But of course, in my opinion, he did play at the All-NBA level in the 91 championship run and in the 96 championship run. So as I mentioned earlier, being the second best player on a dynasty certainly does count for a lot, but we never saw Pippen reach that higher upper echelon MVP level. He's a great player, his peak reaching that All-NBA first team level, but never reached the MVP level. If you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments. And thank you for watching.